Hey, my friend, it's Adrian from Contact Mapping, and Merry Christmas week to all of you. It's great to be spending some time with family. I'm getting ready to go and sign off actually for the next couple of days and be able to connect with family. So I hope that you are able to do that as well. And I am just really thinking back on something because this is actually Christmas Eve was the moment that the idea of contact mapping was born 4 years ago. So in Christmas of 2016 was the moment that contact mapping was born as the idea to build a company around this. And I want to share that story with you because I've been reflecting on it and really going back to the place of where I was in that time, and I think it's something that you might relate to, and so I wanted to share that with you. So back in 2016, I was living in Zurich, Switzerland. My wife, Callie, and I, we had 3 kids. Our youngest, Hugo, had been born that April, and so we had a 7-month-old and 2 older little girls that were in Switzerland. And I had been working for about the last 7 years prior to that for a technology company that had treated me really well, that had moved me all over the world, and had really taken great care of me. But the last year or so that I was there, I was climbing the ranks. I started getting into a place where I wasn't in a good spot anymore. I was working a million hours. I had a wife and 3 young kids at home in a country that didn't speak English. I was really stressed out, and I was really, to be completely honest with you, I was in over my head. And I was very unhappy. I was working too hard, like I said. I had a wife who needed more from me than I was giving to her, and I wasn't able to really deal with that because I had so much going on at work. And I had gotten to a place where I had realized that I had kind of kept putting one foot in front of the other because it seemed like the right thing to do, and maybe it wasn't the right thing to do anymore. And so as that happened, and as I went through that experience, I realized that I needed to make a change, and I needed to do something different. I didn't know what that was going to be. And so, like I said, I was living in Switzerland. I came back to Colorado that Christmas to spend time with family. And again, I was not thinking I was about to start a company. And I'm thinking about what my next move might be. I'm spending time talking to family, to friends, to mentors. And during that time, this moment hit. And like I said, it was on Christmas Eve 2016. And I'm in the shower, which a lot of my good ideas come in the shower. The idea for contact mapping the company came in the shower. And I'm standing there, and it literally felt like a lightning bolt hit me. And there was this moment of realization that this needed to be a company. Contact mapping is something that my dad had created as a way to describe what he had done for so many years, creating great relationships, but it had never been anything more than that. It was just a way for him to kind of explain what he did to people, maybe to train on it, but it wasn't a business. There was no platform to really take it out to the world, and it wasn't duplicatable. And what happened was there was this moment where I realized that everything needed to change. And I printed this off. I saved this, and I want to show it to you. So if you look there, December 24th, 2016, and the subject line is, "What if contact mapping is the business?" So I have this huge idea, this huge, like, whoa. I get out of the shower. I dry off as fast as I can. Hello, Shirley Ann Horvat. I dry off as fast as I can. I run over to my computer. It doesn't show this on the printout, but it said it on Gmail. It was 7:11 in the morning is when I sent this email. And here's the backdrop, right? My dad, who I haven't lived in the same country as for the last 5 years. I haven't lived in the same city as him for the last 12 years. We're really close, but I don't know what it's going to be like to work with my dad. He's extremely successful in the network marketing profession, so it's not like he needs the money. He's 65 years old at the time, so it's not like he necessarily is looking for a second job on top of the big job he's already got, let alone, every reason in the world why that might not make sense. And so I sent him this idea, and I said, I want to know what you think about this, and I want to really know. Because the reality is that I knew he would like the idea because he wanted to make me happy. I knew he would like the idea because he would like the idea of getting to work with me. But those two things are certainly not enough to go on a journey like this. And so I basically, after that, I shared the idea with him. We dreamt about it. We started talking about it. And then I kind of spent some time trying to talk him out of it because I really wanted to make sure that he was doing it because he wanted to and not because he thought I wanted to. Hey, Kimberly. And so I really went into that. I really went hard into making sure that that was something that he really wanted. And so, like I said, I was not in the mode of being ready to start a company. This was not in my game plan in that moment. We were just home for Christmas, and so it's now time to go back to Switzerland. And I was in the midst of some really crazy stuff. The company that I was working for had just been acquired by a private equity company, so they were publicly traded. They were taken over by a company called Apollo Group, and as is often the case when those sort of things happen, we were going to have to do a big layoff. And I was in charge of finance for everything outside the United States for this company, so I was going to be in charge of having to do that. So I had a huge amount of responsibility. I felt a huge duty to see that through. And as I got back to Switzerland, I started down this path where on one hand, I can't stop thinking about this idea. I can't stop thinking about starting contact mapping. But on the other hand, I'm going back into my environment of being not really all that risk tolerant, right? This was not necessarily in my wheelhouse. I'm a finance guy. I do things by the books. I do them by the spreadsheet. I don't take big risks. This was way outside my wheelhouse. And there was a moment that I want to tell you about. This was the moment that I was talking about in the title of this video, the standing on the edge of the cliff. So during this time, the company that I was working for, they were very generous and they had an executive coach for me. Her name was Claire. And I had just gotten promoted into this job. As I said, I was feeling way over my head. I was really unhappy. And we're sitting in a room plotting out what vision am I going to set for this big organization across multiple continents that I'm leading, and how am I going to bring them through a period of huge uncertainty for everybody involved, and how am I going to enable them to help lead their organizations and their business units through a period where people are going to lose their jobs and some really difficult stuff. And so we're working through that, and I'm struggling. I'm really struggling to find the energy and find the spark to do this. And Claire and I were pretty good friends. She knew me pretty well. And she finally stopped me and she said, "What the hell is wrong with you?" And I stopped. And, I knew exactly what the hell was wrong with me, but I thought I was doing at least maybe a little better job of covering it up than that. And I had this moment, right? She was also the executive coach for my boss. She was hired by the company that I worked for. There was a million reasons not to tell her the truth of what was going through my mind. And I took this breath, I took this pause, and I said, I got to tell her. And so I told her about contact mapping. I told her what I was thinking about. And in 2 minutes, I said, I had this idea, I don't know if I'm going to do it, but this is what I'm thinking about. And I finished spitting it out, and she goes, you have to do that, right? Which was, again, not at all what I kind of expected her to say. This is crazy, you got to lead, whatever. And okay. And she said, this is the first time in over a year that I have seen that clarity of vision that I've been looking from you for so long. And you have to do this. And not only do you have to do it, but because of this impending layoff, you know what you need to do. You need to go and literally quit your job right now. I went, whew. So it's like 8 or 10 in the morning in Zurich, Switzerland. That means it's like 2 in the morning or something in Longmont, Colorado, where my dad lives. And so, no chance for me to have one last moment of, hey, are you sure you want to do this or whatever? She was right. The train was leaving the station that day. And I walked out the door. This is in January, a couple of weeks after this idea had come to life. And I walked into my boss's office and I quit my job. And that was it, right? I was standing on the edge of the cliff. I was looking down at the water. I was asking myself, can I really do this? Am I made for this? Is this the right thing to do? And I still am kind of amazed that I jumped, but I jumped. And here's the thing. In retrospect, I cannot imagine what I would be feeling like today if I had not done that. I don't know what I would have felt like, because there is so much life and so much joy and so much purpose in what I'm doing and what we're doing with contact mapping, that to think that wouldn't have come about and that I would have stayed in that lane, I just can't imagine it. And so wherever you are on your journey, you may not be right at that point, right? You may not be at the place where you're at the edge of the cliff, but maybe you are. And maybe this is that moment where you gut check yourself and you say, I gotta go. I gotta make this happen. Or maybe that's not you. Maybe you are earlier in that journey and you know that something needs to change for you. You know that you're made for something more than what you're doing right now, but you're not quite there yet in figuring out what that means and what that looks like. And if that's you, you don't need to jump prematurely, but start walking towards that cliff's edge and really get yourself close enough to take a look over. Because if you keep, walking this way parallel to the edge of that cliff so that you're never getting any closer to it, you are robbing yourself from that opportunity, and you're robbing the people who you can impact, who need you playing at your highest level of contribution. And if where you are right now is not congruent with that, then take some steps closer to that and see what happens. I'm so incredibly thankful that I embarked on this journey, and it is not a testament to my courage. It is not a test. God put me in the right place at the right time in a few huge ways. And at the end of the day, I guess I had the guts to take the plunge. I trusted and I took the plunge. And I want you to follow that pull, whatever that pull looks like, and follow it at the right speed for you. But don't ignore it. Don't tune it out. Don't try to forget about it or stay in a place that doesn't serve you or serve the contribution that you can make in the world, because I genuinely think you'll regret it if you do. So this was a long one, but I hope it was worth it. And I'm just so thankful that here 4 years later that we're doing this, and this is just the beginning. I'm just so optimistic and excited for everything that's to come. So I would love to have you come on this journey with us. If you have questions about what that might look like for you to take a step closer to the ledge, I'd love to talk to you about that. Send us a message. I'd love to hear from you. And I'd love for you to use your network as a path toward figuring out what this could look like for you, because it is the most powerful, most invigorating, most fulfilling thing I've ever done. And it has happened so much through the connections that I have made and kept and maintained along the way. And those are there for you too. So go and check out contact mapping. Use that as a tool to help you to get there. Use this tribe as a group of people that can encourage you on your journey. And I'm here. So send me a message. Give me a phone call, 303-332-7458. I'd love to hear from you. But whatever you do, don't stay stuck. Take a step forward. I appreciate you so much. Merry Christmas. Love you. Love you, Karen Hammond. You are just an amazing woman. And Merry Christmas to all of you. Take care.